Now, today we are going to start a new chapter, that is government budget and economy, which is the fourth unit of macroeconomics. And as you must be have been waiting for this, but due to technical problems, the stream did not go live, so we are starting again. So every year in the month of February, there is a lot of curiosity among people. What will be the announcements in the government budget, what is budget and all that. So we are going to discuss something about budget only. What is the definition of budget? A government budget can be defined as an annual statement of estimated receipts and estimated expenditures of the government in a financial year. Meaning thereby, now at present the financial year is from April 1st to 31st March of next year. 1st April to 31st March of next year. For example, this year, the financial year is 1st April 2002 to 31st March 2021. 2020 to 21. 1st April, जैसे कि आपका academic session होता है same. So that is your financial year. ठीक? 1st April to 31st March. This is so the basic thing is every item in this budget is only estimated. It's not actual. Actual may be more than or less than what we have estimated. Because in February you cannot say कि April में क्या होने वाला है. You see, while we were making budget in February, there was no inkling of Corona. We did not know that there will be so expensive, this problem will arise and there will be lockdowns. So all our estimates have gone awry. जो हमने estimates लगाए थे सब गड़बड़ हो चुके हैं. Lockdown हो गई है, economy has locked down, the industries have shut down. So whatever income the government had planned that we will receive this income, that may not be coming. On the other hand, expenditures have increased. We have to divert expenditures from one side to another side. We are spending on Corona, how to prevent Corona, how to take care of people, or how to look after transporting people from one place to another, and a number of expenditures. The police is working round the clock, the army is working round the clock, everybody is involved in it. So that, and on the other hand, we have been forced to live in our houses, which is a precautionary measure of course, and we should not crumble about it or crib about it. So that is for our own good, and that is there. So this is here we have to the point important is our estimated receipts are the income of the government, that I will have so much income from these sources, and estimated expenditures are the reason why government plans to spend what it's planning to spend. That is this. So now this was the definition of the budget. A government budget can be defined as an annual statement of estimated receipts, that is the income of the government, and estimated expenditures, that is what the government is going to spend upon of the government in a financial year. And the financial year is 1st April to 31st March of the next. Then what are the objectives of government budget? So why do we prepare budget? The main reasons are, first is proper allocation of resources or reallocation of resources. What does this mean? This means that I have certain income. Now I have to spend. How much I have to spend on health? How much I have to spend on expenditure? Health expenditure, defense expenditure. expenditure, then your education, infrastructure, etc. So you will allocate resources accordingly according to the needs which sector of your economy is lagging behind. If you see defense expenditure, you may increase or defense expenditure when we need it, and to modify the equipments of the defense forces. You may increase health expenditure, education expenditure, infrastructure expenditure, reduce subsidies and all that. So that is expenditures, proper allocation of resources from one area to another sector. Then second objective is to maintain economic stability. Economic stability. So that your economy suddenly does not go into recession or suddenly does not go into boom. There is a stability in the economy. So you know how it will be, how your expenditures will be treated, in which sector which you have to modify on a given time. As we have diverted our expenditure from other sources to corona health sector this time. So to maintain economic stability, although the workforce are people are working from home, the physical laborers are not able to do any work. So we are complaining that the economy growth has gone down. One should understand that since the people are limited to their homes and working from homes, only software programming or something that which can be worked on online is going on. Rather, physical activities have now restarted in the unlock period, but that is also to limited extent. So in this case, to maintain an economy stability in the economy, it is a huge task for the government. Then third point would be your economic growth, which I was just now talking about. So that is for economic growth. How does economic growth take place? Economic growth takes place when we increase production, and for increasing production we will have to use more resources, whether it is capital, whether it is labor, whether it is your land as a resource, or entrepreneurs. We are always complaining that we are not getting jobs, because we Indians have a mindset that job means government job. Basically, we need entrepreneurs who will come forward and start a new industry or new setup or new industrial unit where people can get employed, can get work. So, and we need more entrepreneurs. For that, the government is taking steps, new startup programs and mudra loans and all those things that have started. So that these are only because the more the number of people are employed, the more production will be there. The more production is there, the economy will start growing. That is one thing. Then next is your economic equality. Economic equality. For maintaining this, government adopts progressive taxation, higher the income, higher taxes. Okay, and subsidies to low income groups. ताकि इकोनॉमिकली दोनों थोड़ा बराबर आ जाए. So they economic subsidies low income groups, so that there is we cannot take money from rich and give it to poor. Fine, we can only increase the taxes, and that taxes which we take from people of higher income groups, that can be used as granting subsidies to राशन की दुकान में आपका सामान मिलता है, गवर्नमेंट तो मार्केट रेट पे खरीदती है, परचेज इट द मार्केट रेट एंड देन सेल्स इट एट अ लोअर प्राइस, 2 rupees kg or 4 rupees kg rice or 2 rupees kg something like that, and then your sugar below market price at 10 rupees a kg or so. That these are all subsidies. On gas cylinders you also get subsidies which is now limited, so that is there. So economic equality, that is to maintain economic equality. In this way we try to bring, so that every person is able to at least fulfill his minimum needs. Then next objective of government budget is basically management of public enterprises. Public enterprises. Public enterprises, like you can say, these are normally autonomous bodies, say transport corporations, like central government, state government also prepares budget. So transport corporations, railways, then you have Food Corporation of India, FCI, etc. इनका मैनेजमेंट करने के लिए, ठीक है. So that why do we production for social welfare. Earning profit is not the motive of these enterprises. Fine. So these were the objectives of government budget. Basically, let's just go and get a glimpse of these. First budget was the proper allocation of resources, or once you have allocated, you can reallocate also. Take from health sector to education sector, or from education sector to defense sector, or that is reallocation of resources. Then next is your maintenance of economic ability to maintain economic stability. Then economic growth rate, then economic equality to bring people having higher income and lower income to more or less the same level, so needs of everyone is fulfilled. And then your management of public enterprises like ONGC, your railways and all these. The basic motive of these enterprises is social welfare, and earning profit is not the motive of these enterprises. So this was the objectives of government budget. This is a separate question, maybe a 4 marks, so you may have to write about it. So at least write the points so that you get some marks. Then next is, now we move on to components of budget. Components of government budget. Fine. Budget normally has 2 sides. One is receipts or income. And the second side is expenditure. Second side is expenditure. Then both of them can be classified as revenue receipts and capital receipts. Here also revenue, expenditure, capital expenditure. Fine. These are further classifications. Then revenue receipts. These can be further classified as tax receipts, non-tax receipts. Tax receipts, non-tax receipts. And capital receipts can be classified as recovery of loans, then disinvestment, then borrowings, etc. Fine. These are capital receipts. Then so this was receipt side. Expenditure, similarly revenue expenditure, capital expenditure. Revenue expenditure में mainly subsidies हैं, then your interest on public debt, then your grant and aids to state governments. ये कुछ इसके एग्जाम्पल्स है रेवेन्यू एक्सपेंडिचर के. देन कैपिटल एक्सपेंडिचर, इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर, expenditure on infrastructure development, fine, new industries, then loans to state government. These are capital expenditure examples. So these are components of budget. There are two sides of that. One is receipts, other is expenditure. So where will we get these receipts or income? We get from revenue receipts, capital receipts, tax receipts, non-tax receipts, capital receipts, recovery of loans, disinvestment, borrowings. On expenditures side, there is revenue expenditure and capital expenditure. Fine. There are other kinds of expenditure also. When we will take up expenditure portion, we will discuss other kinds of expenditure also. This can be further classified as developmental expenditure, non-developmental expenditure, planned expenditure, unplanned expenditure. For example, expenditure on corona related matters was simply unplanned expenditure. We did not foresee it, we could not foresee this epidemic and we had not planned for it. So it's an unplanned expenditure. Whereas planned expenditure is what we plan in the budget, what we have allocated in the budget for that particular year, or in our five-year plans prepared by the Niti Aayog, earlier prepared by the Planning Commission. That was planned expenditure. So unplanned and unplanned expenditure, developmental, non-developmental expenditure, revenue expenditure, capital expenditure, these basically form the components of what we say your government budget. So now we will start taking up one by one. First we will take up receipts. Fine. Receipts of government. These are basically revenue receipts, revenue receipts. What are revenue receipts? Are those receipts which do not increase the liability of the government or decrease the assets of the government. Okay. In other words, we can say these receipts have no effect on assets and liabilities of government. These receipts have no effect on assets and liabilities of the government. Are those receipts which do not increase the liability or decrease the assets of the government. In receipts को these are known as revenue receipts. Understood? मतलब ना आपकी liabilities बढ़ेंगी, कोई देनदारी नहीं होगी और ना आपकी assets कम होंगे. मीनिंग thereby income can be earned from, मैं अपना घर बेच दूँ, मीनिंग thereby मेरे assets कम हो रहे हैं. और इसी तरह अगर मैं लोन लेता हूँ तो माई लाइबिलिटी इज देयर कि आई विल हैव टू रिटर्न बैक इन फ्यूचर. सो रेवेन्यू रिसिप्ट्स आर दोज रिसिप्ट्स जिसमें कि कोई लाइबिलिटी नहीं होगी, मैंने किसी को कुछ देना नहीं है, एंड सिमिलरली मेरे असेट्स भी कम नहीं हो रहे. तो ऐसे कौन से सोर्सेज है जहाँ से कि रेवेन्यू रिसिप्ट्स आएंगी. ठीक है. सो एग्जाम्पल्स आर टैक्सेस. गवर्नमेंट के पास टैक्सेस आते हैं. सो टैक्सेस, फाइन. टैक्सेस डू नॉट क्रिएट एनी लायबिलिटी ऑफ द गवर्नमेंट. कल को गवर्नमेंट ने उसके बदले में किसी को कुछ वापस नहीं करना है. सो टैक्सेस. एंड अदर इज, सेकेंड इज नॉन टैक्स रिसिप्ट्स. Non-tax receipts. Fine. These are the examples of revenue receipts. So taxes, non-tax receipts. Taxes whose incidence जिसको incidence means हिंदी में कहते हैं प्रभाव और इफेक्ट इंग्लिश में, कैन नॉट बी शिफ्टेड टू थर्ड पार्टी, another party. ठीक है, डायरेक्ट टैक्सेस आर दोज टैक्सेस whose incidence cannot be shifted to other persons, whose incidence cannot be shifted to another